my flight plans to Argentina weren't that complicated. I got my visa on time, so I wasn't worried about that. Got my flight plans. I was going to fly with about 8 other missionaries who were all going to Argentina, but to different missions than I was. And we got on the plane. We were flying first. We were going to fly to Atlanta, Georgia, and then from there to Buenos Aires. And we were flying to Atlanta, but there was a storm over Atlanta, so we couldn't land there. And we had to go over to Florida and then back to Atlanta. And by the time we got back to Atlanta, our plane had already left. So it was about midnight. It was 8 missionaries out past our curfew, not knowing what to do. And we called church headquarters, and they told us to go to a hotel somewhere. And we ended up teaching a guy probably the first lesson in a line in the airport. And so that was good. And eventually we ended up staying in Georgia for a couple days with the mission president there. And that was fun. He took us out to Five Guys. We got some burgers. We didn't really get to do much work because we didn't know what we were doing yet. We were all trained in Spanish. But eventually we got down to Argentina, and we got there, and I said goodbye to all those missionaries. And a guy who didn't speak any English was driving me all the way to Rosario, and I got in the car with him. I didn't speak any English, or hardly any Spanish. He didn't speak any English. We had no idea what the other one was saying. And eventually he said, hey, I understood. We're going to go pick up another elder. And we picked up another elder. He was a brand new elder from El Salvador. And I didn't understand what was going on. I thought this guy was going to be my trainer. So I was introducing myself to him. I thought he was my trainer. And then with his little bit of English and my little bit of Spanish, I eventually found out he was a brand new missionary too, and he wasn't going to be my trainer. And so eventually we got Rosario. And normally when you get there, you have all the new missionaries, get a whole day with the mission president, you get trained, he gives you a special dinner, you get to meet your trainers. And I got there and it was a little hectic because I had got there 2 days later than they expected me. So I got there, the mission president shook my hand, gave me about a 10-minute interview, and as they introduced me to my trainer, and 5 minutes later I was on a bus heading to my first area about 6 hours away. So it was kind of a crazy first day. I remember we didn't even get to our area the first day. We ended up stopping in a city, one of the more dangerous cities in the mission, in the middle, and just sleeping with these elders. It was super hot. There was mosquitoes everywhere, and I was just wondering, where am I? That night I've been all around the world that day, and I wasn't in my permanent place. I was just so confused. I remember going to bed that night. But it got better from there. The next day I got to my area. We went and taught some lessons, and my Spanish still wasn't that good, but I felt like I had really helped some people. And I remember once I finally got to my area, one of the first guys I talked to on the street, I just talked to him, and I don't know that he really understood me, but I tried to share the gospel with him, and I kind of bore my testimony to him. And all of the past couple, all the crazy events the last couple days all made up for it then. Just being there and being able to talk to the people and really feeling like, hey, I'm sharing what I know with them.